Welcome back to the 2017 Dallas Regional Championships. My name is Gabby Snyder, and I am here with Adam Dorricott, and we're here to bring you round 4 of this tournament.
I'm very excited. We've pulled something a little bit different. We've stuck to the, obviously, undefeateds, but what we've actually managed to pull is 2 players who I think are still looking for that breakout performance at regionals. I spoke to both of them a little bit while we were getting them set up, and I think both of them are hungry for that really big performance. Both players just falling outside of top cut at a number of tournaments they've played in over the years, and at 3-0, I know there's a long way to play today, but it's definitely a good chance for them to show off. A new format brings new faces to the fore every single time. Every time we change format, we get new players in who really excel, and I think one of these two, or maybe even both, could really push on and make this their year. So I'm excited to see if one of them could do it or both of them could do it and how they do it, especially having a peep at their teams. I think both of them have something interesting that they might be able to use to their advantage to just one up and show why they deserve to make the cut over the other one.
Definitely. Now, not to keep the mystery alive much longer, these 2 players are Caleb Ryor and Justin Stipe. And I believe you've encountered Justin Stipe a little bit throughout your adventures in Florida?
Yeah, since I've been living in Florida, I've played Justin at some local tournaments. Very interesting teams, very different view on how to build a team. You know, he looks at what's out there and he goes to hard counter it, different to the way some people play it, where they prefer to just sort of build a team and tech for it, you know, just select moves or item choices to deal with it. He builds a team to hard counter it, so it's kind of a go big or go home strategy. If he makes the wrong read on the metagame or what he's going to see at a tournament, then his team doesn't do very well at all, but if he makes the correct reads, then he's able to really push on and get those performances. Unfortunately, though, none of them big enough.
Yeah, and you know, I've actually known Caleb for the entirety of his Pokemon career. I may have been the person who actually recruited him into this community way back in the day.
You did a good thing. It's a good community to be in.
Definitely. I love being a part of this community. And, you know, as you've said, Caleb has been competing for many years now. He's had many opportunities at regionals where he was almost at that top cut, but unfortunately due to resistances or just a little bit of bad luck, it just was not working out in his favor. So definitely looking for that breakout performance today. And looking at his team, I don't know. I think it might be the team that could lead him there.
I like both the teams on the table. Definitely both bringing something. I'd say Justin's very different. Caleb's a little bit different. You know, we've seen a couple of changes. We're going to get into team preview in a second. We're going to be able to just have a good look at those teams and talk about them. We can go over them now if you wish.
Yeah, I think we will. So Caleb today is running Tapu Fini, Araquanid, Porygon 2, Alolan Marowak, Kartana, and Crocodile versus Justin Stipe's team of Weavile, Parasect, Tapu Koko, Kartana, Politoed, and Porygon Z. So definitely a lot of something that we haven't seen so far yet today.
Well, I think it's only fair to start with Justin's team. Of course, Porygon Z, not the usual Porygon, most people leaving it at that Porygon 2, not fully evolving it and giving it the Eviolite. Definitely something we haven't seen so often recently, so be interested to see if that's a move. We have seen it particularly on the online ladder, picking up use with Z conversion. So it manages to change its type, and with the boost from the Z move, actually manages to get a completely big stat boost, one in every single stat that it needs. So it gets a new type, it gets stats, and now it just needs to be able to set up and capitalize. So I think a lot of Justin's team is going to be around setting up for that, the assistance of Weaver, the assistance of Parasect, which I did talk about a little bit earlier. Could be interested to see if it's as good as I think it is. Of course, though, Caleb playing something a little more standard. He's using the Porygon too, maybe looking to get up that Trick Room.
Yeah, honestly, it looks very familiar to what Inosh was running, I believe, in San Jose with that Tapu Fini, with the Araquanid, with that Porygon 2. It just feels a lot like the team that he brought. I'm not sure if Caleb has taken this opportunity, though, to sort of add his spin on it. We'll just have to see how this match plays out as these trainers get started. So good luck to both Caleb and Justin. Again, for those of you just tuning in, this is round 4 of Swiss here in the Dallas 2017 Regional Championships. I cannot wait to see this match begin.
No, I think the leads are going to be really important for both these players here.
Nice.
Justin going right away, showing off that Porygon Z and the Weavile, so Weavile able to provide some support. But Caleb answering very smartly with the Tapu Fini and the Crocodile. So Justin knows what he wants to do. Going to have to be smart about doing it, though, and I think Caleb's monsters on the field are going to give him a little more trouble than he'd like for trying to set up this Z conversion.
Yeah, Crocodile, I think, is one of those Pokemon that's sort of been examined in this metagame, but not really. It does get access to Intimidate. It is a ground-type Pokemon, which does very well against Pokemon such as Muck, but we'll see if it does anything this turn. It doesn't look like it. Fake out from that Weavile into the Crocodile, and there it is. I believe we're going to see that Z conversion from that Porygon Z.
So it does get the choice of what it wants to turn into. Of course, it's based on where the move slots are placed, so the typing it picks up here could be really, really important. If it's something useful, then it's going to be good. It takes the electric type, likely from that Thunderbolt, but it's not going to be able to capitalize as we see a substitute come out from Tapu Fini, so not a bad turn for both players, I think.
Yeah, it looks like Caleb may be familiar with some of Porygon Z's antics and look to set up that substitute to buy him a turn to possibly attack with a ground-type move from that Crocodile here. So it's all going to come down to whether or not Weavile has a way to possibly stop that Crocodile before it can attack. You know, Weavile is an Ice-type Pokemon. It could get access to, like, Icicle Crash, perhaps, or maybe some sort of other Ice-type move.
There's definitely pretty much specific spreads on the Weavile that allow it to flinch things with more than just fake out. So even if it is trying that, it's not going to be this turn for the Crocodile. And Porygon not capitalizing off its type change, unfortunately.
Ice Beam into the Crocodile, who protects, and then we see the Icicle Crash, but that connects with the Tapu Fini and not that Crocodile. So whether or not it'll break the substitute is to be seen. It does get a critical hit, and that substitute does fade. So an unfortunate turn for Caleb, but he does still have the option to set up a Calm Mind with that Tapu Fini. So if that Porygon Z is looking to attack it in the future, Tapu Fini's new bulk will sort of help lessen the blow.
It's going to be really good, and both players setting up a little bit of what they want. So this game a little slower than some of the games we've seen today. Caleb obviously getting a nice Calm Mind up to help with that Z conversion boosted electric type Porygon now. But he's still got a lot to deal with on just inside the field. A lot of pressure coming down. Porygon 2 just going for it another way, though.
We see Ice Beam into the Marowak, actually coming in for the Crocodile, and we see a fling onto the Tapu Fini. What was that Weavile holding? It's activating, and it flinched, which means that Weavile is holding the King's Rock item to prevent that Tapu Fini from doing anything this turn.
I think this just shows how Justin's team is designed to work. Of course, set up with the Porygon on turn 1, get your stats nice and boosted, and then you'll be in a good position. We use Weavile to slow it down. Icicle Crash with the King's Rock, increasing chance to flinch. Of course, Fling King's Rock guaranteeing a flinch, but a perfect switch from Caleb here brings in that Alolan Marowak, and that means that the Thunderbolt is going to be redirected by Lightning Bolt, basically forcing Justin to use Ice Beam and not get any benefit from it.
Justin double targeting that Marowak while Tapu Fini uses this opportunity to put up a substitute. That Marowak used Protect, so it did not take any damage this turn.
A perfect Protect from Caleb there, knowing of course that Justin now has to switch his focus. It looks like he wants to get rid of the Tapu Fini, but he can't do that with electric type attacks while Alolan Marowak is on the field, so switches the focus to that, and a perfect Protect from Caleb. Manages to block all of the damage coming in that turn. So Caleb, although there was a lot of setup on just inside the field that he wanted, I think he's just managed to switch around and get all the things he needs himself as well. So very, very good positioning, I think, from Caleb under a lot of pressure.
That Alolan Marowak switching out, Crocodile coming in its place. It does get an Intimidate off on Weavile and that Porygon Z, but unfortunately gets knocked out by a critical hit from a Ice Beam. Weavile's Assurance is redirected towards the Tapu Fini. Whether or not it's able to knock out is to be seen. We do see the substitute remain, and we see Tapu Fini use a second Calm Mind to boost its special defense and special attack even further.
That Tapu Fini is becoming a real problem, of course. Justin getting a nice Pokemon advantage by knocking out that Crocodile. I think that was something that was putting pressure on him, especially since Porygon Z took that electric type. Getting rid of that on the switch is really good for him, but still, the Alolan Marowak from Caleb, the Calm Mind and the substitute set up on his Tapu Fini, I mean, he's still in a really good position, even though he's a Pokemon down. So I feel like the Weavile has used all its tricks, and it may need to switch out to come back in and at least bring pressure with Fake Out again. If Justin leaves it in and wants it to get knocked out by Caleb, then he's going to be in for a bit of a rough time. Caleb may just leave it on the field because he's not at all worried about it.
We see Weavile switch out and Politoed coming out on the field in its place, bringing its drizzle ability with it, which will set up some nice little raindrops on the field and weaken Marowak's fire type attacks, but we won't see any attacks from Marowak this turn. We see it protect once again. Ice Beam going into the Tapu Fini this time around. Will it be enough to break that substitute? It's not very effective, and Tapu Fini remains out on the field, firing back a Moonblast of its own into that Porygon Z, and despite the fact that it has boosted its special attack 2 times, it is still not enough to knock it out.
No, the 2 stages of special attack boost from Tapu Fini going up against the special defense boost from Porygon Z. I mean, Porygon Z hanging around, not quite as well as its younger brother Porygon 2 would, but still in a really good position. Unfortunately though, Caleb just has that board position with the Alolan Marowak on the field. It's now up to Justin, who's got a good switch in with the Politoed there, pretty much predicting the Marowak coming in and setting himself up to put pressure on it. So Marowak now forced out, and if Justin's able to capitalize, this could be a huge turn for him.
Caleb sending in a Porygon of his own this turn, only this time it is a Porygon 2, gets the attack boost from its download ability. Porygon Z using Protect this turn, not wanting to be knocked out by possibly its partner Politoed, who targets Caleb's side of the field with a Surf. So a very unusual move on Politoed there. The substitute, will it break? It does not, and Tapu Fini firing back a water attack of its own using that Muddy Water. It will connect with that Politoed. It's going to deal a little bit of damage, probably not a lot despite the boost, and whether or not it gets an accuracy drop here could be very important, but fortunately for Justin, we do not see that this turn.
No, but the big thing here for Caleb is he's just showing how much work that substitute did. Of course, he set it up after the Carmine, so it benefits from the stat boost of that Carmine. And that's now 3 turns that it's taken attacks, admittedly not very effective attacks, and just kept him in that play. Now he's been able to finally attack with the Tapu Fini, and Justin doing him a big favor by bringing the rain. So Muddy Water's going to be doing a little more damage. Obviously, water type moves boosted by the rain. So Justin, he kind of has that pressure, but Caleb just has enough to switch around and keep it in Justin's head, I think. He'd love to go for a Thunderbolt just to get rid of that substitute, but he's not able to at all with the threat of Marowak, but this time he goes for it.
We do see a Thunderbolt, but it targets that Porygon. Justin not targeting the Tapu Fini. We see a Surf coming out from that Porygon. Will it be enough to knock out the Porygon 2? It is enough to knock out the Porygon Z. It is enough to break that substitute, but Porygon 2 just barely hanging on. We see the Muddy Water animation come out from that Tapu Fini. It does connect with both the Politoed and the Porygon 2 Z, but this time we do see the accuracy drop on that Politoed. We do see the Porygon Z knock out, and Porygon 2 holding on, getting that Trick Room up.
Fantastic turn for Caleb. Finally, the substitute goes down for Justin, so he must feel really good about that. He finally got rid of it, obviously trying to get rid of that Porygon 2 with a double attack. Some people do it to try and get rid of it, but the big thing coming in from Justin, he does have something in the pocket which functions exceptionally well under Trick Room. It functions exceptionally well under Rain. It's very, very slow. It's got dry skin, and that's why Politoed's been surfing. And it's going to have Spore as well, which now Tapu Fini doesn't have a substitute to protect itself. Could be his way back into the game.
We see the Spore immediately from that Parasect targeting that Tapu Fini, putting it right to sleep. Unfortunately for Caleb, it will have to remain asleep at least for 1 turn, so it will not be able to attack this turn. Porygon 2 using this opportunity to recover, get some of its health back, and Politoed will be the last Pokemon to move on the field, once again using that Surf. This time, Parasect's dry skin ability would have allowed it to heal from the Surf, however, because it is at full health, we did not see any health regained.
No, and I really love the team selection here from Justin. He did a lot with his leads, of course. He did get a nice offensive pressure up, but then when Caleb decided to set up the Trick Room, looked like Caleb was just going to round out the game under Trick Room, really punish Justin's team, which was very, very quick. Of course, Weavile still in the back isn't going to flourish under the Trick Room, but if he can just see it out with this pair that he's got on the field right now, he's going to be in a good position. He doesn't want to try and get a grass type attack on the Tapu Fini now, just wants to get everything to sleep so he can slowly whittle it away, and I think that's a perfectly fine play right now.
That is a perfect play by Justin, putting that Porygon 2 to sleep. That Tapu Fini remains asleep as well, and we see another Surf from that Politoed targeting both the Pokemon on Caleb's side of the field. It is barely not enough to knock out that Porygon 2, but unfortunately for Politoed, the rain has just run out on the field.
That's going to be a blow to him. Of course, he could switch around, get the Weavile back in, get a fake out, then maybe bring Politoed back in, but I feel like he's just going to truck on without the boost. Now Parasect is actually able to put down some damage. This turn, it's going for it with the Leech Life.
Leech Life from Parasect knocking out Porygon 2. I don't think I saw that one coming today. We see Tapu Fini wake up just in time to get a substitute up and activate its hold item, restoring a huge amount of its health thanks to that Aguav Berry. That substitute's looking pretty great right now. We see another Surf from the Politoed. Most likely it will not break that substitute, but we might see a critical hit here. You never know. This is Pokemon. We do not see a crit. It is not very effective, and that substitute lives on.
No, but I think very smart team building from Caleb goes way back before this game. Of course, knowing that he can get the berry after a substitute just puts him in a really good position. Of course, the Marowak's still not going to be in a great position. It does put really good pressure on the Parasect, but it still has to worry about the Politoed. So I think if he can get rid of the Politoed, then Parasect won't be able to do enough on his own. But I love the mechanic that Justin has in here to play his team a couple of different ways. Unfortunately, Tapu Fini's just been a defensive monster, and that's why we've seen it rise in popularity over the past couple of weeks.
Definitely. Justin, though, made an amazing read during team preview, figuring out that Caleb wanted to bring a sort of late game Trick Room mode and save that Parasect to come out on the field once that Trick Room had been set up. We see Parasect not going for a Spore into the protecting Marowak, instead using Leech Life on the Tapu Fini. The substitute still remains, and we see it fire off a Moonblast into the Politoed to probably clear the way for that Marowak to start dealing damage, most likely to that Parasect next turn, especially since Trick Room just ran out. So now Parasect is no longer the fastest thing on the field.
Parasect isn't the fastest thing on the field, but the saving grace for Justin here is, of course, that he has his Weavile. So Weavile with the Dark typing, now Marowak has that Ghost Fire typing. Will be going first now. Trick Room run out, so great timing for it to run out. Of course, it can't fake out, but it may just be able to knock it out. And if Tapu Fini can't do enough to the Parasect, it could get put to sleep, and then we end up in a very interesting situation. So we know, though, if Weavile does get hit by the Moonblast from Tapu Fini, it's getting knocked out without a shadow of a doubt.
We don't see the fake out, instead the Assurance into the Marowak, but it lives with just 13 HP. Moonblast from that Tapu Fini into the Weavile. If this is enough to knock it out, this could be the sign of a game win for Caleb. It is that Weavile is not holding a Focus Sash because of the King's Rock it flung earlier this game. We see Marowak go for a Flare Blitz into that Parasect. Is it enough for the knockout? Parasect is knocked out, and Caleb wins game one of this series here in what was an amazingly well-played match by both him and Justin.
No, I really like Justin's start. I thought he had it really on himself. He had that Z conversion go up, got that electric typing, but Caleb's team decisions and the way he built this team really helped against the electric types. It was a hard counter to electric types with Crocodile and, of course, a Lowland Marowak. So really tough game for that Z conversion to go on. And I think Justin, if he wants to get back in it in game 2 and 3, he's got to show a different mode to his team. We did see a fight back with the Parasect, obviously functioning well into the Trick Room that Caleb set, the Politoed helping that Parasect out, and I think if he wants to win, that's the kind of mode he's going to have to bring forward and really try and get a little bit more out of that. He's got to stop Tapu Fini, though.
Yeah, Tapu Fini was really just uncontested the entirety of that last game. You know, it was threatened by that Porygon Z, but Caleb was able to switch around to make sure that it wasn't really an issue. I think if Justin's looking at this game moving forward, we might see something like that Kartana make a play out on the field to try and possibly stop that Tapu Fini before it can get any substitutes up. You know, Kartana is traditionally a physical attacker, so it doesn't have to worry about the increased bulk from moves such as Calm Mind. Kartana might be the play for Justin. We'll have to see what he decides. Caleb, though, looks like he's ready to go. He locked in his team very quickly.
I definitely think you're right, and I think Kartana needs to come out from Justin pretty much early on in this game. It puts really good pressure down on a number of Caleb's team. It puts pressure on the Tapu Fini, definitely puts pressure on Araquanid. Will struggle a little bit with Marowak, but probably a pretty good answer to Crocodile as well. So if it can get a knockout, Crocodile has intimidated it. Beast Boost is going to bring it right back up, so I think that might be the answer for Justin. Of course, a lot to keep his Kartana safe as well with the Politoed, and even some Parasect help to get things to sleep. It's really easy to knock things out when they're snoozing.
Definitely. It looks like these trainers are ready to go. Again, this is Caleb Ryor versus Justin Stipe. Caleb taking game one in a very close and exciting match to watch. We do see Caleb bring that Tapu Fini once again paired with the Crocodile. And on Justin's side of the field, we see the Politoed and the Tapu Koko, which are two Pokemon you don't normally see together, but certainly have a lot of fun sort of combos you can play with.
Definitely a lot that they can work together with. Unfortunately, Justin is going to lose out on the electric terrain. Tapu Koku much faster than the Tapu Fini, so that's not quite what he wants. I'm sure he would have loved the electric terrain to set that up. Would have definitely helped him if he'd have got that. So I'm curious to see if he can play on without that terrain, but I'm really happy he hasn't bought the Porygon. I think that was the big sort of mistake he made, relying on that in game one, because Caleb clearly had the answer to it.
Yeah, and you know, seeing a lead like this from Justin, part of me can't help but wonder if we might see a Thunder from that Tapu Koko, but instead we see the Tapu Koko switch out, and in its place it is the Porygon Z making an appearance once again. Crocodile switching out as well. Caleb revealing that he brought his own Kartana on the field. We see a Scald from that Politoed into the Kartana, not going to deal a lot of damage, but if we see a burn here, that could be critical. We do not see the bird, and Tapu Fini is free to start using that Calm Mind move that just allowed it to stay on the field for so long, starting with the last game.
Of course, it would be nice if Justin could get the burn, but the terrain war being won by Caleb means that burn cannot happen while Misty Terrain is in play. So Kartana can switch into the Scald. Yes, it takes a good amount of damage, but it's like a little less risky as it has been in previous years, because you know you can't get burned. So now it's in. Obviously, it's in a good position to catch something with a Grass-type move. It's going to be able to do a lot to Politoed. It does also have access to Sacred Sword, we've seen, so we're going to be able to do a lot of damage to Porygon Z. I think that Kartana switch was a fantastic move from Caleb.
We see a second Scald into the Kartana, but it lives with just 18 HP despite the crit. Kartana firing back a Leaf Blade, targeting that Politoed, and it's going to easily knock it out, no questions asked. So we will see Kartana benefit from that Beast Boost ability, and it will boost Kartana's attack by one stage. And we also see the Z conversion again from Justin, powering up that Porygon Z.
Again, it's going to become the electric type, which isn't ideal, especially in this matchup. You don't get to choose, it's based on the first move slot. So although the stat boosts are really nice, the type changing may actually end up hurting him, of course, with the Crocodile in the back from Caleb. If he brings that in and catches it with an Earthquake or even something a little more powerful, like a Tectonic Rage, if it carries it, some of them do, then I think his Z move is doing a lot more work for him than Justin's is for him.
We do see Justin send out the Kartana, but now that that Tapu Fini has that substitute set up, it will have at least one turn, possibly more, to start, you know, dealing a little bit of damage to Justin's side of the field.
Yeah, it's been really good, that Tapu Fini, and I think after Enosh's success with it, a lot of people picking it up, and I love the way that Caleb's played it, kind of put his own spin on it, you know, substitute and Calm Mind, very, very defensive, so obviously he feels that defensive play style is good for him. His team has very good synergy, and I think he's just been able to play defensive enough to slow down the all-out offensive Justin team. We did see the Politoed going very early in the turn, so likely holding that Choice Scarf. Justin just trying to knock things out as quickly as possible.
Kartana switching out and Marowak coming back out on the field in its place. So Caleb definitely afraid of a Thunderbolt here, but a great read by Justin, Ice Beaming the Marowak slot. So it doesn't deal a lot of damage, but it wasn't absorbed by Lightning Rod, so that's always a win. We see Leaf Blade from that Kartana targeting the Tapu Fini. It's super effective. It takes that substitute down, but Tapu Fini is free to use Muddy Water, which is boosted by the rain that's currently out on the field. It does connect with both the Pokemon on Justin's side of the field, but more importantly, we see Porygon Z get an accuracy drop, which is definitely not something you want to deal with when you're already down one game loss.
No, that's definitely not going to help. And the interesting thing here as well is there's a good read, of course, by Justin to not throw out the Thunderbolt. But, you know, admittedly some damage is better than no damage, but it's just not quite enough. The interesting thing here is, though, now he's finally got rid of that substitute, he might actually be able to capitalize this turn. We've seen all four moves on the Tapu Fini, so if he can either catch it without the Protect, or even catch something on the switch in, that Kartana may be able to pick up a knockout, and if he has a way to handle the Marowak, which it looks pretty unlikely right now, you know, then maybe he could get rolling back in, but I just think so far, Caleb's synergy and switching has been on point every single turn, and he looks to be pushing on to win this game.
We see Crocodile switch in, Marowak leaving the field. That Intimidate will certainly help counteract any sort of offensive capabilities that Kartana has right now. So not the best position for Justin to be in. We see a Protect from that Porygon Z, and Kartana using that Leaf Blade to target the Tapu Fini. Even with the Intimidate, it is unable to knock it out. So great play by Caleb. He needed that Intimidate there to help his Tapu Fini survive, who heals all of its health back practically with that Aguav Berry. But unfortunately, targets down the Muddy Water. It will not connect with that Porygon 2, but it does connect with the Kartana, and it will knock it out.
No, I think what's happened here with Justin's team, very interesting idea at team building. Obviously, it's been doing him well so far today, but I think he just got a little less than he bargained for on every single turn. He's not quite managed to get the big damage. He's fallen short of so many knockouts, and Caleb's showing just how good training your Pokemon defensively can be. So he's in a very good position. That Tapu Fini staying around. Justin looked like he was able to finally get rid of it. Makes a fantastic switch with the Crocodile, knowing, of course, it's pretty safe, it's not going to get too much damage put down on it. Justin being exceptionally safe and protecting Porygon 2, which I think if he'd have Ice Beamed the Marowak slot again, would have caught Crocodile on the switch, would have been a lot of damage, which would have been nice.
Yeah, which might have been very important going into this turn. It is worth noting that Justin has two very powerful electric-type Pokemon on his side of the field who are benefiting from that electric terrain. Unfortunately, though, Crocodile is a ground-type Pokemon. It's not going to take any damage from electric-type attacks. And with Marowak out on the field, we have to worry about that Lightning Rod as well. Ice Beam into that Marowak, switching in for the Crocodile, not very effective, but hidden power from that Tapu Koko. What type is it? It is not enough to get the knockout. It is super effective, so we know it might be something like a ground type or maybe even a water type or something. Muddy Water from that Tapu Fini gets the knockout on Porygon 2. Tapu Koko just barely hanging on as the rain stops.
I didn't realize not enough to get the knockout was a new type. Have they added that one in after Fairy or? But no, this game seriously comes down to fantastic team building by Caleb. His team has managed to take all the big hits that Justin has thrown at it, and that's been very impressive, something we didn't see in the last format, most likely, and we've just seen it come alive in this current format. So I think Caleb's team, picking up off what other players have been doing, is exactly what he needs to do. I'm excited to see how it pushes on, goes through the rest of the tournament. I'm excited to see if Justin is able to learn from this loss and pick up a little more about his team. He saw some good elements in it in the Parasect Politoed. Didn't bring both of them in game 2 though. So if he can learn from that, he can easily fight back from this one loss.
Yeah, definitely. We still have 5 rounds of Swiss here today, and this was his first loss. So, at this point, if he were to win out or possibly take another loss later on in the tournament, perhaps maybe a round 7 or a round 8 loss, and then win his last 1 or 2 rounds, he certainly would be in a great spot going for top cut. And, he certainly can do it. He made some amazing plays early on, but Caleb just had the better built team.
No, his team was a pretty much harder counter. Of course, Z conversion making electric type against the Marowak and the Crocodile was not ideal for him at all. So I think maybe he should have left that on the bench, but he still knows if he sees that in team preview again, he's not going to make that mistake.
Definitely. We'll be back shortly with a player interview with Caleb Ryor, so please stay tuned, everybody. welcome back to the 2017 Dallas Regional Championships. I'm here with Caleb Ryor. How's it going?
It's going good. I had a fun set with a good friend of mine. Can't ask for anything better than that.
So do you guys practice it all together?
He's in a group chat of mine. We like theory him on and stuff, and he's from Florida, and I'm from Connecticut, and we're invading here in Houston. So just the fact that we got to play here and we were hanging out this weekend, it's a good time.
So tell me about your team. It looked like it was constructed very well. You had a lot of defensive synergy on it.
Yeah, shout outs to Anash for making the team. Obviously, he got second at San Jose Regionals with it. And last night, I've been testing like strictly Tapu Bulu teams, so I'm very used to like switching in and out, defensive switch-ins. I was dabbling with like Wolf's London team, but last night I just was worried about everyone running Cartana, and Bulu can't do anything to that. And even though Finney is also weak to Cartana, just the team structure is a lot different. So I felt really comfortable with it. Like I call it the revolving door of Pokemon with Crocodile and Marowak. It was perfect support for Finney.
It really was a revolving door of Pokemon you had going on there. So, I mean, you mentioned this team was inspired by Anash. Like, did you make any sort of changes to make it your own, or?
I asked him if he thought he could make his team any better, and he, another friend of his and friend of mine, Justin Burns, won the Dallas Midseason Showdown the other day with this exact team. And they made changes for it, and it worked out because he won the event. So, I picked up the team, and I've been loving it. Like the Aguave Berry, not on the original team. It was sub-lefties, Finney, but I think that definitely showed off how great that berry is.
Yeah, I mean, you got essentially 3 substitutes from that, which was really awesome. So, like, I mean, you picked up this team last night. Like, how do you sort of alter your thinking to sort of pick up a team just like that? I mean, that must have been very difficult, especially with the pressure of this event sort of weighing on your shoulders.
Right. I've very rarely had a team even like a week before an event, maybe a few days. I think Nationals 2015 was the only time I was working at Six Flags. I'm like writing my team down and I'm like, this is what I'm using. I'm sticking with this. I did all right with that, but yeah, I'm used to the thinking of all kinds of things. So just. It feels natural. Like the team makes sense. I know how it works. I just have to execute it properly.
Nice. Well, you certainly did an amazing job against Justin. Were there any moments, though, where you felt like a little bit afraid or anything you kind of crossed your fingers and just hoped that it worked out?
The end game, game 2, whether or not I was going to live that Leaf Blade.
Like, that
I
was very close.
I need to live it. I trust in Anash's spreads. He has intimidates. I've just been switching in and out the entire time. Why stop there? So I was like, I spent the turn trying to find out if there are other win conditions other than that, and that was my best bet. I didn't want him to sweep with a potential beast boost, so I was basically all in on that play. So.
Well, you played it very well, and I'm sure the team will serve you well moving forward.
I'm hoping so.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Caleb, and best of luck in future rounds. We'll be back shortly. Please stay tuned.